What's up, everybody? It's Scagz here, and I am back for another Doomed review. No captain today. I am joined instead by the king of the trash realm, Chris himself, Jimbo the Kid, my partner from A Slice of Doom as well. What's up, brother?
Yes, what's going on, man? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so, I mean, if you're not familiar, we do Slices of Doom, and we did a while ago one of our Slices of Doom. We talked about the Rings of Power, the new Lord of the Rings Amazon show. So we figured we'd jump in here. We're kind of a little bit late. 2 episodes have passed, so we're now on episode 3. I figured we'd review Doomed review episode 3. So what'd you think so far, man? I'm interested to get your perspective. I have like a little bit of a weird perspective because I know a lot about the Silmarillion, and I've tried reading it. I've tried reading some other of Tolkien's works, the Children of Hurin. Very difficult reads. I kind of got a lot of info from them, from kind of just like Googling and getting synopses from people who understand what exactly it is Tolkien wrote. So let me see what you think so far.
So far, I actually really enjoy it. I mean, for $1 billion, that's what I read that they put into the show. I mean, it's showing, right? Like it's the cinematography's there, the CGI. I mean, they're bringing these to the last episode that we just watched. I mean, that city in like right there with how they describe it in the book. You can, I mean, I haven't read the prequel. My father has. He has read every single Lord of the Rings novels, so he's very in tune with what's going on. He hasn't watched the show yet, but the way he describes how Tolkien has written his stories through scenery and stuff, you can tell this is definitely Lord of the Ring feel to it. I really enjoy it. The suspense of it, having Galadriel in there and Elrond, because this is thousands of years before the actual Lord of the Rings. I'm excited to see where they're going to go with this, man. I really am.
Yeah, I mean, I think originally I was trying to caution people, like, not to let the anticipation of something being woke ruin that thing, because maybe it won't be, and you might think it will be. But some of my criticisms here are going to be that there is a lot of woke stuff in it.
Yes.
But let's kind of concentrate. That, yeah, I'll say so far that the first 2 episodes had a lot of woke stuff in it. We're now on episode 3, so I did enjoy episode 3 to a certain extent. I thought it was actually pretty interesting. So we kind of pick up with Galadriel and Halbrand, and they're on a ship now, and they're headed to Numenor. And if you're Lord of the Rings fan, you're familiar. Numenor is like this great kingdom in the middle of the sea, kind of like the precursor to Gondor.
Yes.
Way, like it's kind of like where the Gondorians.
Very, very similar, where the tree is in the middle. You have that long triangular slab that reaches out beyond the wall. I mean, yeah, very similar.
Yeah, like Minas Tirith. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
So I agree with you. Yeah, the CGI and the landscapes and whatnot of Numenor were dope. It looks really good. It gave you definitely a vibe of Minas Tirith and Gondor, like that culture we're familiar with from the show.
Yep.
I did really like that. We also got introduced to Elendil and Isildur, right? Who are the long lost ancestors of Aragorn.
Yes.
And if you remember, from the first Lord of the Rings film, the prologue of the movie opens up with the last alliance and Elendil and Isildur fighting together with Elrond to go confront Sauron. So these are those same characters. We're going to kind of get their backstory and whatnot here. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's great to see, familiar names, because like you said, in the Fellowship of the Ring in the beginning, they explain how the rings were forged and how it came about through history. Like I said, I enjoy Galadriel being there, and Elrond played a huge factor in the beginning, and that they have them on board. But they don't focus too much on them as well, which they have Arondir, the elf that was stuck in the slave encampment. And the ending of that too, it's like, oh man, I was like, this is like a Slipknot concert, huh? I was like, I like it, long hair, but yeah, I enjoy seeing how suspenseful it is, because like I said, I never read the books. I've never read the first book, the prequel. But so I'm just watching it, like, taking it episode by episode.
Yeah.
And in anticipation to see how they're going to lead up to it, which a lot of people who read the books, especially the Elven language is a real language. So, they have to be on point with it, because there are people who can understand that language. So they have to definitely do their history. So.
Yeah, definitely. One thing I'll probably recommend to people is if you don't know anything about the books and what Tolkien wrote, I'll recommend you probably don't look into any of it, right? Because me knowing kind of, I told you guys, maybe you take the blue pill on this one and you just kind of enjoy the show for what it is.
Go
like,
for a ride.
just have fun with it, because there are a lot of problems with it. I'll comment on this whole storyline about Galadriel is fake. Doesn't exist, never happened. She was never a commander of any northern army. And this whole thing with Sauron, this never happened. So they're going into places and people that do exist, but the main driving plot of the story doesn't actually exist in any of Tolkien's work. Going back to Numenor, one of the things I'm a bit confused about and don't understand really, I guess, the Queen Regent, that I'm not familiar with at all. There is a king of Numenor, and he presides over what eventually is going to be the fall of Numenor. The books. I guess maybe that's her father. She seems to be kind of another invented character that doesn't exist. I don't care that there's people of color in the show representing, different characters, but I find it, odd when they, they inject a person of color into a character that doesn't exist. And there's
basically creating a new character. But let me ask you a question though, because it's kind of hard. They're going to do that with every book. There's so many books that I've read where they were just like, hey, for instance, I heard you paint houses just based off the Irishman. The Irishman is based off of I heard you paint houses, and there was a lot of stuff that Hollywood has to throw in to make it really dramatic.
They always do for anything. But the original Lord of the Rings movies by Jackson did stuff like that as well.
But I heard that the Lord of the Rings, the trilogy, for those who read the book, said a lot of people said that it was mostly accurate for a film. That he tried to keep it as close as possible to the books. So I mean, like you said. I'm along for the ride, and I'm enjoying what I'm seeing right now. So,
yeah, definitely. Jackson did try and keep the movies as close as he possibly could. There's a lot of stuff in the books that wouldn't have played well on the movie either, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just curious as to the king and the Queen Regent of Numenor. It's an interesting scenario. My guess is they're going, again, not to harp on the woke stuff, but my guess here is going to be, because I think I can almost sniff out what's going to happen here, is that the Queen of Numenor and the Queen Regent of Numenor and Galadriel right now are at odds, as we saw in this episode.
Yep, but they're gonna come together.
They're gonna come together and prove some sort of story, and the men of Numenor will kind of be at fault here, and it will have been the women who knew all along something wrong was going on, and they were smarter, they were better, and they'll, had they just been listened to, the fall of Numenor could have been prevented. That's my prediction as to what the show is going to show here. And the criticism there goes to, that's not what Tolkien wrote, right? That's an injection of modern culture, society, politics, whatever you want to call it, into a story.
That's the ship we're on right now, brother. I mean, you're not far off. I can't say I disagree with you, because I have faith in Hollywood. Because I mean, after what I seen with She-Hulk at the end with Meg Thee Stallion, anything's possible at this point. I mean, you know what I mean? Like they want to just keep moving the goalpost, if you will, and just keep, let's one up each other. Let's do the unthinkable, So it's like, all I am happy. Listen, I am happy. Yeah. I'm genuinely happy. We have this show and we have Game of Thrones back, and it's all at the same time. I was euphoric all morning. I was catching up on things, and I'm just like, well, this is a great space to be in.
Yeah, me too. Me and you are both like big fantasy medieval nerds, right? So it is cool 100%. To have both of them back. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm not enjoying the show for what it is. Yeah. It's in the back of my mind though that there's this stuff that's not supposed to be there. Yeah. I do appreciate that Elendil and his house is pretty accurate to the books. They, in the books, they did have like a strong relationship with the elves and revered them, where most of Numenor didn't. Yeah. They kind of has stayed loyal to that, and Galadriel has gone, kind of with him. Again, this is invented. Galadriel was never there or anything like that. So this is kind of new. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. I thought there was a shot that was pathetic, honestly. There was a shot of Galadriel riding the horse, to Elendil's, house.
Hall. It was the hall.
She just, I don't know, man. Moffred Clark, I think her name is. Like, she just doesn't do it for me as Galadriel. No? Like, she looked just awkward and almost cartoonish. Like her smile and face on the horse when she was riding it. I laughed it didn't look. I don't know. Like it just
really.
didn't.
I think she looks not close to Kate Blanchett. There's definitely, she doesn't look exactly the same, but I can respect the casting. I think there are a lot of similarities because it is supposed to be a younger version of her.
I'm okay
right?
with that. I'm okay with her looking the way she looks.
You're just talking about her acting.
Her acting is off a bit. She's, I guess, a new actor. I don't know. She's had a couple questionable scenes so far, and this is now one of them.
You do have a point. You do have a point. I think that you're right, because I actually thought about this before. I'm glad you brought this up. There was a part where they're going into the harbor and docking the boat, and it looked as if she was overacting a little bit. Like she was just standing still, and I was like, imagine docking on a fucking skiff, and you're just like a cardboard just entering, like as if there's cameras around. Like you gotta.
Well, when you're on a ship, you move with the boat. You move with the motion.
Yeah,
of the
but
ocean,
she was just standing still, and her dress is perfectly flowing, and I'm just like, kind of not realistic, But I get I see what you're saying.
Yeah, there's a scene that since we missed them, there's a scene that sticks out to me in I think it was the first episode or maybe the second, where she's talking to Elrond about like, you haven't seen what I've seen, and like her face just like twitches.
Yeah,
it just like,
the left eye thing, right?
Yeah.
What is that from? Because I've never seen that with in the movie. She's never had a fucking twitch like that.
I think it's from just poor acting, to be honest with you, buddy. That's what I'm saying. So I'm criticizing Margaret Clark a little bit. I'm not trying to give her too much of a hard time, but I'm criticizing her acting skills. She's new, so maybe she'll get better as the show goes on. She looks like Galadriel, definitely. Her acting skill and it's not all her fault. Also, the way they've written this character, they've made Galadriel into a warrior. She's never a warrior. She's more of like a mage. Wise person that people go to.
Lives through. She has knowledge. She's based off of history, and she was there since the beginning. Well, most part of the beginning of everything that's been going on. So she was the person that's seen things. Now back to the twitching eye thing. Do you think that will come back up in the future? Because you know how she spazzed out over the ring when she was talking to Frodo. Do you think that would come back up of her getting into that white atmosphere when she got angry and she just had to calm herself down, because that's not like the elven way?
Maybe, but I mean, back then, and in the future, where that's over the ring, like over the temptation of the ring, kind of caused her to go into like dark Galadriel mode.
But remember when she was on the boat going to when she jumped off the boat, she was like, you have to live in darkness sometimes. You remember that, right? So it's kind of crazy to see that her brother was like, sometimes you have to be inside of darkness to destroy darkness, and essentially I forgot what the exact quote or the line was, but which in life, now to refer into life, I mean, it's kind of a valid point. Sometimes good people have to live in darkness to defeat darkness.
True, right? I guess they are trying to maybe show you like the progression of her character, so maybe they will kind of try to rationalize how she went from warrior to more of like mage over the course of the show. I'm not sure.
I didn't know that she wasn't a warrior. Like I said, I didn't read the beginning books. Why do you think that they would make her into this type of warrior elf, that she's the commander of or whatever?
Well, it's an interesting, it's the action plot of the story, right? It's a familiar foe, Sauron. It's a familiar protagonist, Galadriel, and there's value in terms of like strong woman in the show and make her the badass warrior, etc. That's the whole point. Of this whole show. You know what I mean? Say what you want about that. It's not my problem. I don't have a problem with there being a strong woman. Like I love Game of Thrones and Rhaenyra, and Daenerys Targaryen. It's just the fact that this never happened.
Yeah, not even Arya, man, was probably the most pivotal hero without all this woke society now.
It was just it's just a story that's good.
Right. It was shot 10 years ago, and none of this stuff popped up, but they had this, it was in the book. The Arya was this, she was different, powerful woman, and that's why people relate. But when you're right, when it's forced on people, you're just like, wait, what? Hold on, time out here.
When it's when you're retconning something to make some sort of modern political or cultural point, it's a distraction, and it takes you out of the world that you're supposed to be in, especially if you know a lot about this world. Which a lot of people that do are, they don't like this, because it's like you're shitting on the grave of Tolkien to an extent. I do think Tolkien's probably rolling in his grave.
Well, I got a question for you.
Sure.
Do you think that this show gives you that Lord of the Rings feel to it? Do you think that
No.
that when you're watching it, you can like kind of relate to the movies and to the Hobbits? Because the Hobbits and the Lord of the Rings had this a similar feel to it.
Yeah.
This one, it has more of a like there was a that scene in last episode where they're in the house. It was more like a horror film type of thing, where it was like jump scares, and with the orc jump scares. I know what they were trying to do. They were trying to not show you the orc right away. They wanted to be suspenseful because they were supposed to be gone, but they're still existent in the world. So they wanted to kind of like scare people. So I can understand it, but it kind of takes away from Lord of the Rings itself. I just didn't feel like I was watching something that could have been in the book. Like I said, I haven't read the book, but I'm judging based off the movies and the Hobbit. So
it doesn't have that same exact vibe that the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit did, right? But then again, those were Jackson projects. This is an Amazon different. Jackson's not involved. It's also thousands of years before, so it has a little bit of a different vibe to it, I guess you could say. It doesn't really feel like Lord of the Rings to me. I think one of the things that's missing the most is the musical score. It doesn't pop. It doesn't stand out. It's not loud enough at times. It's there, and it kind of sounds a little bit like Lord of the Rings, but think about when Gandalf and the Fellowship of the Ring are coming around that hill, dun 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 dun. Like it's the emphasis of the scene. I haven't gotten that yet from the show. I will say that one of the things I thought did feel like Lord of the Rings, was in the second episode when they went to the dwarven realm of what's going to be Moria in the future, and the dwarves. Like that still felt a lot like
that is Moria, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, all right.
The kingdom of Khazad-dûm, but it was essentially Moria.
Okay, so when I was watching it, I was like, it kind of has that Moria feel. I was like, is it Moria? I was like, I don't want to, because like I said, I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, I got it. And ignorance is bliss, man. Ignorance is bliss. The more you know about what they've done here, the more you'll probably it'll bubble at you underneath. I like that. With this episode, I thought also I liked and was as interesting is where the Southlands, where you've seen now Arondir is prisoner there with the orcs. Do you know what the Southlands really is at this point? Have you figured that out?
That is Mordor, is it not? Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, if you haven't figured this out yet, the Southland is literally Mordor. And this is like, so far back that, humans just lived there and it's still green and
that they took it over and they enslaved them.
Right. Yeah.
Which is interesting to see. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're seeing kind of like the orcs now, like terraform the land and destroy the place.
Which is kind of huge for Enodir, what's his name? These elven names, I can't even speak English half the time. But when he chopped down the tree, it was a significant part because he's an elf, so he's technically, which is pretty cool to see. I'm like I said, like you said, ignorance is bliss, and I'm enjoying it.
I am liking that kind of seeing like the transformation of Mordor is interesting. I don't know who this person is that they teased at the end, that they're bringing Arondir to him.
Yeah.
He looks quasi orc elf or something like that. I'm not familiar with the name at all. Don't remember it from anything. He seems to be some sort of leader. I think if you remember back to some of the promo images, there was one of a man like what looked like an evil character with a gauntlet, with like a steel gauntlet. I think that's going to be who this person is.
Okay.
Who that is, I really don't know at all. Some people would maybe be like, hey, it's the Witch King. The Witch King's not around yet at this point. So I don't know. I really don't. But it's interesting. It's interesting to see who that's going to be.
Yeah. I'm just happy to, because my favorite character in all of the series is Legolas. And I just love seeing elves, just how their cities operate, how their knowledge, like you said, their knowledge, and Elrond being involved is just like yes.
Elrond wasn't in this episode, which is kind of a miss, right? This is only the third episode. We've already kind of ignored Elrond. I do like Arondir. There was problems with him in the first episode, I thought, but I do like his character. He reminds me a lot of Legolas. He is a complete invention, does not exist in the books. I guess they've created him to show you, because you're seeing kind of like Mordor and the transformation there through through his eyes. He's the character that's on location there.
Yeah.
So I guess that's why. So I like him. I like his style. He's like the badass warrior elf, and I like where he's at. Like you're going to see him in Mordor, maybe fighting to stop them from taking over or something like that.
Do you think it's going to pick up? Do you think you're going to get the satisfaction that you would want?
I don't know. Maybe in future seasons. This first season is going to be, I guess, about them trying to craft the rings of power, right? Like there's so much to come. There's that. There's.
Do you think this season is going to be the start of in talks of the rings?
Maybe.
And that's how they ended.
Yeah, that's what Elrond and Durin are going to be working on here. That tower that he, that was another problem, right? They never the proposal that they never made in the second episode, and now they didn't make again in the third episode. We're now 3 episodes in, and we haven't even gotten anywhere close to the rings of power being forged. They need to make the tower, which Celebrimbor then uses to forge the rings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So
yeah.
That, I guess, by the end of the season, we'll finally maybe get this tower built, and we'll keep the story moving. I think the show's supposed to be like 5 seasons. So there's a lot to be done here.
And I hope it picks up. Like, I hope, by next season, it's just like you can see the direction that they're heading into.
Yeah. There's a couple of, I agree. So far, 3 episodes in, it's been interesting, but it's also kind of like working off of the benefit of being a Lord of the Rings show. Like, you're interested, right? Because you love it.
Yeah.
It's going to be highly watched, right? It's interesting to see how it's going to do as the season goes on. If people start to fall off or get disinterested, I'm not gonna lie. There's a couple of times through all 3 episodes where I kind of got bored and almost fell asleep a couple of times.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Last point I kind of wanted to make, we didn't really touch on at all, is the Harfoots and their mystery man.
Yes.
What's your guesses? Who's the mystery man?
I'm gonna go with a fucking complete obvious one, and it sounds stupid, but I would hope to see if it's Gandalf.
Yeah, I mean, he has that vibe, right, of Gandalf the mystery man.
I mean, and that's what he's labeled as, because I have IMDb up for all these names that I can't pronounce, and it's literally he's under mystery man.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
so
I
think he's going to be Gandalf too, and we're kind of, which I kind of like that we're going to see the origins of Gandalf, and it would make sense. I believe he came from.
But here's my question: where did he come from?
Heaven, right? Like the gods sent him to intervene and help in Middle Earth. It would, this would be the literal interpretation, right? He literally rode a fucking meteor down from the stars to,
Yeah.
I also like, if you remember back in the movies when he came back from the dead, he kind of like took him a minute to remember who he was, right?
Oh, that's right. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. So like there seems to be a thing where like you go from, the afterlife back to, reality. It kind of like takes you a second to get your bearings,
because he goes Gandalf the Grey to then Gandalf the White, and he does come back after Balrog, right? While they're fighting. So in some sense, he did die.
Yes.
And then came back. He was sent back reincarnated as a different. Yeah. So it could be fucking. Fingers crossed, man. That'd be cool.
Yeah, it would be cool. There's one other character who I found incredibly interesting, and I think I got him figured out, but I'm not going to say because I think it would be too much. But Halbrand, what do you think about him? He's the other male, the men that was the companion of Galadriel on that raft. He got arrested by the Númenóreans, and then there's more to him, I think, than meets the eye. What do you think about him?
Man.
I mean, you saw, right? He got into a fight with everybody, like bought them all drinks. We kind of do learn that he's from the Southlands and he's a form of royalty of them. He's an interesting wild card character.
Who do you think that he?
I don't want to spoil it because I think this is one of my beefs with the show.
Does it have to be the end of? Is it the end of the Fellowship? Like the end with Aragorn in the forest?
You mean like the end of the Fellowship of the Ring?
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I can't really say because I feel like this is one of my.
He definitely has a feel of someone from Gondor.
Yeah, he does. He does have a feel of somebody.
He also
Gondor.
Looks like he would be someone from Gondor as well.
Yeah, one of my beefs with the show, like I was going to say, is it's too on the nose sometimes. Like I feel like I already have the show completely figured out.
Mm-hmm.
pretty close. And I don't know if I want to say it because I don't know if I want to spoil it if I'm right.
Text it to me. Text it to me, and then I'll.
Okay, and then we'll maybe see in future reviews.
Yeah.
Or as we get closer to it, I'll get to it. So, yeah, man, I don't know. What do you want to do? What do you want to give episode 3? 1 out of 10.
1 out of 10. Episode 3. I would have to give it. Oh, I'm gonna be a little bit. I'll do like a 6.
Okay.
I'll do a 6. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. I
Okay.
enjoy. So for me, I just enjoy watching shows and movies. I'm very critical, as you know me. Like I love video. I love editing. I love FX, CGI, and this show. I mean, besides the storyline, the way it looks is just incredible. That's the one thing that I really enjoy about the show. Other than that, I hope it picks up.
Yeah, me too. Well,
I'll
for $1 billion, it better fucking look good.
I know.
I'll say that much, right? And it does look good. I'm gonna give it a 4.
Okay.
It was a step in the right direction, but it's still not up to par for a book reader knower of kind of what Tolkien wrote. But at the same time, I'm enjoying it. Again, like I said, I suggest you don't look into anything and you just kind of take the blue pill here and enjoy the show for what it is.
Just be me, smile, cheek to ear to ear, and some popcorn, and just enjoy it, man. Like I said, what a time to be alive. You have Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings together. Just imagine Game of Thrones was on while Lord of the Rings was coming out.
Yeah,
that would have been euphoric as shit. That would have been like, oh my god, yeah.
I'm excited, definitely. So we'll be back. We'll try and be back to record. Review some of the other episodes. If you are into House of the Dragon, we reviewed episodes 1 and 2. We missed 3, but we'll be back for episode 4 of House of the Dragon as well. So thanks for watching. See you later.
Thank you.